Nebraska on Tap, the source for everything educational and informational about groundwater in agriculture. If you are an ag producer or a citizen of Nebraska, this show is made for you by the Middle Republican Natural Resource District.
Now it's time for our weekly show, hosted by Heather Disming.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's edition of Nebraska on Tap. This week, we are going to talk to Dr. Terry Haney. He is the Nebraska LEAD Program Director. So we are going to talk to him about the farm and ag individuals that he is looking for this program, what the program gives to these individuals, how long this is for individuals who are accepted, and the individuals that are accepted, how they develop a deeper passion for the ag community and the career they might be in. The Nebraska LEAD program began 42 years ago to develop agricultural leaders from Nebraska's future generations. The constant changes that occur in the agricultural policy, marketing, economics, and technology point to the need for stronger leaders to advocate for the heart of Nebraska's economy, agriculture. Now they are in their fourth decade of forming pioneering agricultural leaders, evolved into one of the nation's premier agricultural leadership development programs. This program is recognized both statewide and nationally because they do stuff for states and also nationally. So it's really, really great. You can look through their website to find more things. You can also go through and find ways to be a part of this program as well. So we talked to Terry. Terry's been doing this for a very long time, and he clearly has a huge passion for this. And it was very exciting to talk to him. So let's get into that interview where I asked him a little bit about the LEAD program and a little bit about himself.
My name is Terry Haney, and I'm the director of the Nebraska LEAD program. And I'll just share a little bit about myself. I grew up on a diversified farm southwest of Lincoln, and then ended up here at the University of Nebraska-Lincoln with a Bachelor of Science degree in agricultural education. My first professional job was to be the high school vocational agriculture instructor, FFA advisor, and young farmer and ranchers advisor at the Geneva Public Schools. And so, had a lot of fun doing that in the early 80s and up and through the 90s. I did a career jump, ended up becoming an extension educator for the University of Nebraska in Fillmore, Thayer, and Nuckolls County, and working in risk management and grain marketing, and was in that position for 7 years, so almost 25 years in that Fillmore County area, and then took a transfer to Cass County here on eastern part of the state. I served there as an extension educator for a couple of years before I became director of the Nebraska LEAD program in the fall of 2007. In between there, in 2000, I was honored to be selected as a member of Nebraska LEAD Class 20. That was something that really was a very life-changing event for me in several ways. Little did I think at the time that I'd end up being the director, but, that's probably maybe a question later on we can talk about. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
So Fillmore County is my highlight for the next month. I'm just going to have to go over and see what's going on in Geneva.
There you go.
Well, what a career you have had, Terry. I bet watching all those grain markets was probably a wild time. You felt like you were a stockbroker on the floor in New York City, huh?
Well, I did have a lot of fun, with that, working with people like David Cole from Virginia Tech and Art Barnaby from Kansas State and Steve Johnson from Iowa State. It was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that portion of my career, and there was never a dull moment when you're looking at grain marketing in the late 1990s, turn of the century, and into the early 2000s.
At 10 o'clock every morning, my brother and my dad's phones go off to tell them about what's going on, so you really don't have to seek out information like you used to and really study it wildly. It's kind of more at your own leisure type of stuff these days. How ironic is it for you to see all those grain markets when we sell to other people outside of the U.S. and then you take your LEADS programs outside of the U.S. to learn about their agricultural adventures in other countries?
Yes, we do. And, that's that international component that we do. And when you mention the grain markets, and I reflect back on my years as director, we've traveled to countries such as South Korea and China that are very good customers of the United States as far as our grains go. And, of course, a lot of countries that we travel to are customers in one way or another. I think that we're able to, what we do with many of the countries, we're able to put boots on the ground where maybe some of our commodity boards or grower associations can't get people to very easily, but we're able to be there, being able to offer a handshake and some goodwill and maybe open the door for those folks that are our customers to meet the growers from Nebraska. And so that's a cool thing as I sit back and think about how that all works out, because, many times, a farmer growing corn or soybeans or growing, raising cattle or livestock, they're not as connected to the customer like maybe we would like them to be. But the LEAD program is an opportunity for us to provide an international experience so that the people that go through this program are able to meet our customers that are in other countries and get a very good understanding of what their needs are as a consumer.
In one of the interviews I saw, you had talked about open-mindedness to seek out new role models, and I really think you hit the nail on the head with that. Really seeing who the grain is getting sold to or the cows are getting sold to.
Exactly. And, one of the things that we really try for our people to learn as they go through our program, and Heather, our program is a transformational travel and experiential leadership development program. There's no textbook that we use. There's not a lot of readings or assignments that our people have to do, because we want them to gain the experiences. We want them to see for themselves firsthand on whether it's an in-state seminar here in Nebraska or it's our 10-day national study travel seminar to Kansas City, Washington, D.C., and Chicago, or it's our 14 to 16-day international study travel seminar. The experiences and the transformational experiences that they receive are so important for them in their journey of leadership development. So, that's kind of what we're all about. The communication is so important. We really try to instill in each of our LEAD fellows the importance of listening to learn, not listening to respond, and so that they're able to learn as much from the people they meet, whether it's here in our state, whether it's across our country, or it's across the pond. So that's just a little bit about the program.
Bringing that up, so when you guys do go to Kansas City and Chicago, you learn about local and state issues, which hit definitely closer to home.
Certainly does. When someone goes through this program, the 19-month program, they're going to spend about 60 to 65 days away from that farm, away from that ranch, away from the business if they're employed off the farm. And so, it's a big commitment. And I want people to understand that, going into this, they need to understand that we really do expect them to be there, 100% attendance. We're investing a lot of money in them. And we can talk more a little bit about the tuition and stuff later. But, as they go through this program, that commitment is so important, and important that they understand as they travel with each other, learning to communicate with each other, but the people they meet along the way. For example, when we're in Kansas City, we'll visit the Federal Reserve Bank of Kansas City, learning about our country's monetary policy and our national banking system.
Wow.
When we're in Washington, D.C., we'll visit the offices of the USDA. We'll visit the National Cattlemen, the Beef Association, Nebraska Wheat or National Wheat Growers. I have Nebraska on my mind for some reason, Heather.
That's all right. It's because we're from this fun state.
Right. We also expose them to like the Sugar Alliance, whose office is in Washington, D.C., the Cotton Council, the potato folks.
Yeah.
We want them to have an understanding of the different commodities and how they have to really work together as a strong agriculture lobby in Washington, D.C. So, it's really a neat thing to look at how our curriculum was put together since 1981. It's a work in progress. It's always changing. We're always bringing new things in, which means that we have to let go of some things, which is sometimes difficult to do. But, that's part of being a leader, is making those types of decisions that my board has to make, or I have to make, or my staff makes when we're putting together our curriculum.
Well, and just like you were talking about all those different offices in Washington, D.C., I mean, it really does take an army when it comes to all this ag production, because there are just so many parts to it, and it depends on what you're growing, who you need to seek advice from, and when you're growing, who you need to seek advice from, and what you do in the in-betweens, who you need to seek advice from. And, there's just so much that goes into it. Like here, we have the groundwater. Our groundwater is different from other areas, but not really different. You're right. There's just so many different components that come to it. And so as a farmer, it is probably nice just to get brushed up on this. And I mean, for 19 months, 60 days away isn't too bad at all.
Well, no one's ever complained after they've gone through the program that they didn't like it. Everyone always says they'd love to do it again. But you mentioned the water issues, and, that's a major curriculum thrust for us. You may already know this, but when my first-year classes in southwest Nebraska, we visit with representatives from the upper, the middle, and the lower Republican NRDs. We also visit with, when we're in North Platte, we visit with the NRD out there. When we're in Omaha, we visit with the Papio, Missouri NRD director. Yeah, water is important as we go across our state. There's different issues, and this is an opportunity for our LEAD fellows to then be exposed to the issues in the areas that we're visiting, but also to go back home and do some research on their respective area and what are the issues with water quality, water quantity, or the other issues with conservation that needs to be addressed in their respective NRD. So
this program clearly gives these individuals who are selected a lot of confidence, because this is a lot of information coming their way, and especially with somebody as passionate about it as you are. I mean, wow. So we talked about the NRDs, and we've had 3 of our board members be selected for your LEAD program.
Yes. I think Rick Spencer out of LEAD 34 is a former member of your board, but currently Tracy Zink out of LEAD Class 35 and Jolene Messenger out of LEAD Class 33 are currently serving on your board of directors. And, that's what we're starting to see. As I look across the NRDs across the state, there's excellent representation of LEAD alumni on those respective boards. And that's one of the things that we really encourage our folks to look at. As they go through this program, we hope that we want them to find out what they're really passionate about, because that's where they can put their skills and their talents and their experience to use in helping move our state forward. And many of them find out that they're very passionate about water and water-related issues, and that's why, they look at running and being a part of the governance of their local NRDs. And so I think that's pretty important. The communication skills that they receive through our program, we're going to teach them how to become a better speaker, how to introduce a speaker, how to formulate their thoughts, how to give testimony at a legislative hearing, how to write a keynote speech, how to do all those things. But, Heather, we also teach them how to listen. And because leadership is also listening, and I mentioned that listening to learn, not listening to respond. Active listening is very important for a leader. They need to listen to their constituents. They need to listen to their followers, or they may turn around and they may not have anybody following them if they're not listening. So important. Of course, the writing skills are so very important also. But we polish them up. I had an alum tell me several years ago that that's what this program does: is it polishes up the people, gets those rough edges off of them, helps them find out what they're really passionate about, what they want to advocate for, and then helps them become very active. We don't claim that we train all the leaders in Nebraska. We've never claimed that. What we do claim is that the people that go through our program, we help them find out what they really like and what they really are passionate about, and then we help them get into those positions of leadership.
Again, just your charismatic attitude towards this probably really ignites a passion in that for these others that get involved and actually get selected for this LEAD program. I mean, wow.
Well, leaders need to provide, they need to model the way, and I think that's an important thing to do. I think leaders have to do what they say they will do. They need to celebrate successes. They need to take that time and really celebrate those wins. Sometimes those wins are few and far between, but you need to celebrate those wins with your people. Leaders need to take care of themselves. They need to recharge their batteries. Otherwise, they're not going to be ready for the next big challenge.
I agree with that. Use all your energy sometimes to get everybody else motivated. Sometimes you need the spa day.
Well, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention, and I know there'll be some alums listening to this, is that the other thing that leaders do is leaders reflect. They reflect daily, they reflect weekly, they reflect, after something goes really well, they reflect on why did it go well, why was it successful. But when things don't go well, they take a step back and reflect on what could I or what could our team have done better to ensure a success or a win the next time. So I tell my lead fellows a lot, reflect, reflect, reflect.
If you never look to see what has worked or what hasn't worked, then you don't know the best steps to take for the future.
Well, you're just shooting a gun in the dark, and you don't know what you're going to hit.
That's a good reference too.
Well, yeah, or swinging at a ball with your eyes closed, that type of thing. So,
no, I totally understand. And then anything else you want to add in, Terry, before we head off today?
I look at the challenges that are happening here, in Nebraska and across our nation and our world, and I think my message for the people out there is to get involved, whatever they raise or whatever they grow, be an advocate for that, but don't sit on the sidelines. And I'm not picking on the next generation, but I really am challenging them to get involved with their industry. Mm-hmm. It's more than just growing or raising the crops and livestock. It's about becoming an advocate. It's about becoming informed on public policy, on trade policy, on rules and regulations. I challenge that next generation to become a transformational servant leader for their industry and for their community. I'm a quote type of person.
That's good.
And William Penn once said that right is right, even if everyone is against it, and wrong is wrong, even if everyone is for it. And I've got a little twist, Heather, that I put on that statement from William Penn, and it goes like this. Wrong is wrong, even if everyone is doing it, and right is right, even if you are the only one doing it. I think our leaders need to know what they stand for. It's much more than doing things right. As a leader, you must do the right thing. And so I challenge that next generation to get involved in their grower associations, get involved with their NRD board, run for office in those positions, be a leader for their community, be a leader for our state, be a leader for Nebraska agriculture and beyond. So, I've had a great ride for the last 44 years. I've loved every minute of it. Had the opportunity to travel the world, but, people always say, well, what are some of the coolest places that you've been to? And it's not that. It's the people that I've traveled to these places with. And it's all about people.
I agree. It's never the wrong time to learn. And it is always about the people because in a controlled environment, things can react a certain way. But when you're out in the open and experiencing it and experimenting with different personalities, it's different. So
it's working together. So my last plug, Heather, is that we are actively recruiting for Nebraska LEAD Class 43, which will begin in the September of 2024. The application deadline is June 15th, and applications can be found at our website, which is lead.unl.edu, or they can call my office, the Nebraska LEAD Program office telephone number, 402-472-6810. And so I challenge your listeners out there to contact us, get an application, or push someone to apply. Encourage someone to apply. Okay?
Right? Don't be shy. Just apply.
Exactly. I like it.
All right, Terry. Well, it's been so great to talk to you today. All right. Once again, I'd like to thank Dr. Haney for coming on and talking to us about the LEAD program. The LEAD Class 41 right now is over in Albania, Greece, and Italy to learn about international trade, foreign policy, cross-cultural understanding, and geopolitics right now. So you can go over to lead.unl.edu and you can find the program's details, the application to the program, the current classes and alumni, the LEAD Nebraska support team, and the board of directors, and you can read a little bit more about it. If you are in agriculture and you have a passion and you want to see yourself soar, I think you should probably take a chance on this. Again, don't be shy, just apply. So once again, I'd like to tell everybody to check us out at www.nebraskaontap.com. You can tune in there to our RSS feed, or you can find our YouTube videos on there. You can go to youtube.com and type in Nebraska on Tap as well and find us. So please subscribe there. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify and also our RSS feed. So thanks again for listening into our show today, and I hope everybody has a great week, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye.